If you are studying for the Naplex right now and you are feeling frustrated because you already earned the PharmD, already put in years of education, already sacrificed so much, and yet you still do not feel like you're studying, your studying is translated into the Naplex passive performance, this video is for you. Because I need you to hear me clearly. Most pharmacists do not struggle with the Naplex because they are lazy. Most pharmacists do not struggle with the Naplex because they are incapable. Most pharmacists do not struggle with the Naplex because they are not smart enough. Most pharmacists struggle with the Naplex because they do not have a study system. And that is a very different problem. Because when you think the issue, because when you think the issue is you, right? You carry that shame. But when you realize the issue is your system, now you can fix it. And that is what I want to talk to you about in this video. I want to talk to you about why your current Naplex system, your current Naplex study schedule may not be working for you. Why studying hard is not automatically producing those better results. And why you actually need, and what you actually need is not just another prep source. You need really a system, a study system. A study system that aligns with how you learn. A study system that helps you rebuild the right study habits. A study system that helps you retain information. A study system that helps you apply what you know under pressure instead of going blank on exam day. A study system that includes mindset tools and support so your nervous system is calmer, your anxiety is lower, and you do not have to keep losing momentum every time life happens or confidence drop. That is the difference. So if you ever have felt like, I don't know more than I'm able to show, just stay with me for a minute, because this is a conversation that may be exactly what you need, okay? And before we go into further, I want you to do something for me. I want you to do something really big and really courageous. I want you to drop your exam month, your goal month, or even just the word license in the comments. I want you to name where you are going. I want you to see yourself as somebody who is still in motion, not somebody who is behind, because we are not behind. We're not somebody who is disqualified. We're not somebody who missed their chance. But we are someone who is still becoming. Now let's talk. Because sometimes you got to state the obvious to get you where you need to go, okay? Now, one of the hardest things about the Naplex journey is that it messes with your identity. Because by the time you are preparing for the exam, you are not a beginner. You're not somebody who just woke up one day and thought pharmacy sound interesting. You already earned a degree. You earned the PharmD. You passed the classes. You completed the labs. You survived the exams. You made it through rotations. Okay, somebody? We made it through rotations. You likely sacrificed time with your family, sleep, money, peace, parts of yourself to get to that degree. And in many cases, you also accumulated some debt to do it, right? So when you finish all of that, there's this natural expectation that the next step should happen. You should be able to translate all that education into licensure. You should be able to sit down, study, perform, pass, and move into your career, right? But what happens for a lot of pharmacists is this. They did the hard part. They earned the PharmD. But they still have not become the RPH. And that gap can feel incredibly painful. Because it's not just academic anymore. It's emotional. It's financial. It's mental. It's spiritual for someone. It starts to affect the way you see yourself. It affects the way you answer questions when people ask you, what are you doing? And you feel guilty. It affects how confident you feel in rooms you should be walking to with your head held high. It affects your sense of timing. It affects your peace. And what makes it even worse is that from the outside, some people do not fully understand the difference between a pharmacy degree and actually being licensed. So you can look accomplished on paper and still feel stuck in real life. And that tension is very much heavy. So when I say you don't need another prep book, I'm not saying you don't need support now. I'm simply saying I'm simply saying that people already have enough materials. They have the notes. You have the books. You have the videos. You have the subscriptions. You have the question banks. You have the color-coded plans. You have the printed schedules. You have the sticky notes everywhere. And yet, they still feel overwhelmed. You still feel overwhelmed. Why? Because materials are not the same thing as a system. And let me say that again. Materials are not the same thing as a system. A true study system is not just what you use. It's how you use it. It's when you use it. It's why you use it. It's what you choose to focus on. Let me get my pen out. And it is what you stop doing. It's how you measure whether it's working. It's how you stay consistent when motivation leaves the room. That's a study system. And when you don't have one, you spend a lot of time doing things that look productive without creating any type of progress that actually keeps you moving towards a passing score. And this is why people keep saying, I study all day, but I can't tell you anything what I study. This is why people are rereading chapters over and over and still freeze when they see the concept in a board-style question. This is why some people are always busy, always gathering information, always trying to fix it, and still just don't feel ready, because being busy is not the same as being effective. You can do the same. Look, you can run in place all day and go nowhere. You productive. Now, sir, you active, but you're not productive. And this is not judgment at all. This is something to just simply a diagnosis that matter, because once you can identify the real problem, you can stop throwing random solutions at the wrong thing. I want you to walk through. I want you to walk why your Naplex study system may not be working. Okay, I want to walk it through, because many people think the problem is discipline. They say, I just need to be more disciplined. I just need to be more focused. I need to stop procrastinating. I need to push harder. I need something. Sometimes I feel like discipline it matters. And it does. It really does. But the problem is that you're not lazy. The problem is your schedule is just unrealistic. Your schedule does not fit into your current life. Your schedule does not fit into your energy. Your schedule does not fit into your job. Your schedule does not fit into your responsibilities. Your schedule just doesn't fit into your learning styles. Your schedule. Oftentimes, we build schedules around pressure and not stability. Because if we build it wrong, that's why you keep falling off. Then every time you fall off, you blame yourself. Now you're feeling guilty. Now you feel behind. Now you feel ashamed. Now every study session starts with emotional baggage before you even open the material. And that emotional weight makes it harder to concentrate, harder to retrieve information, and harder to stay consistent. That is why a study routine can actually make things stick that matters. Not the routine that sounds impressive, not the routine that would look good in a productivity video, not the routine that someone else used when there has a completely life. A real routine that accommodates your life, something that you can sustain. A routine that respects your bandwidth, that accounts for your peak energy. A routine that helps you show up again tomorrow, because the best study routine is not the most intense one. It's the one that you can repeat. And that leads me to something else I want to talk about that people don't talk about enough. The peak energy. Peak energy impacts Naplex prep more than people realize. Everyone is not mentally sharp at the same time of day. Some of you think best in the morning. Some of you do your best processing late in the afternoon. Some of you are trying to do your most cognitive, demanding work when your brain is already exhausted. And then you're looking at yourself like something is wrong with me. No. You may be simply scheduling the wrong work at the wrong time. You should not be doing necessary things, the hardest tasks, when you're drained. You should be having the highest focus tasks in your highest energy peak windows when possible. And that is what peak energy is. This means you could be doing your recall drills. You could be doing your math at your highest peak time, your case-based workflow. And then at your lower energy windows, you can do lighter work, the reinforcement, listening and watching videos. Doing things that doesn't take brain power for you. That's the strategy. This strategy creates the relief, because now you're not forcing yourself to perform at the same level all day long. You're working with your brain, not against it. And let's go even deeper, just an inch. Because even when people sit down to study, they offer not structuring their study sessions in a way that improves their retention. A lot of people are still studying in a way that feels familiar, because that's what they did in school. You reread, you highlight, you watch the videos, listen to the recordings, you underline, you copy, make those beautiful notes. And listen, I'm not saying all of that is useless at all. Please, I'm not. But I am saying that on its own, it's not enough. Because recognition is not the same as recall. And seeing something and thinking, oh yeah, I remember this, it's not the same as being able to retrieve it under pressure and apply it correctly in a question when the exam is asking you to think. The Naplex is not just testing you whether something looks familiar. It's testing whether you can make decisions. That is why I think like a pharmacist system is so important. Because the exam is not asking you, have you seen this chapter before? Have you seen that lisinopril can cause a cough? It's asking you to think clinically. Can you prioritize? Can you intercept? Can you choose? Can you apply? That requires a different type of preparation. Can you see in a patient case that this patient has cough and taking lisinopril, and then say, oh, this may be causing it? It requires that active learning, that retrieval. It requires that pattern recognition, that practice with application. It requires how to move from information to making decision making. See, that's the shift. And that is where so many pharmacists need support in. Let me say this clearly. You can know a lot of things and still not be ready. That doesn't mean your knowledge is useless. It means your knowledge has not yet been trained for performance. And that is why I teach that you don't need just information. You need information plus structure. You need information plus strategy. Information plus systems. Information plus the ability to think under pressure. That's what changes things. That's what changes. Because for many pharmacists, the study problem is not a study problem. It's a nervous system problem. That anxiety. When you sit down and your mind just begins to race. You're thinking about time loss. You're thinking about previous attempts for those who have taken the exam more than once. You're thinking about what other people are doing. You're thinking about how long this has been hanging over your head. How you can't get this monkey off your back. You're thinking about the money that you could have had made. You're thinking about your future. You're thinking about whether this is going to happen for you, like really, really happen. And when your nervous system gets dysregulated, it becomes harder and harder to absorb, organize, and retrieve information. So your mindset has to matter. Not in a fluffy way, but in a functional way. Your thoughts really affect your focus. Your emotional state affects your recall. And your level of internal safety affects how consistently you engage with hard material. So a real study system has to support your mind. It has to calm that noise. It has to help you regulate. Help you keep moving when fear tries to make you freeze. That's why I'm always going to talk about both study strategy and study mindset, because one without the other is incomplete. And most people are not talking about this. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, okay, this sounds like me, I want to give you hope, because this is fixable. Okay. It really is. It is fixable. You are not going too far. You're not too far behind. You are not the exception. You do not need to carry the story because it has taken longer than you thought. It cannot happen. It can. But the urgency is this. You cannot keep repeating the same broken process and expecting peace to come from that. You cannot keep studying a way that drains you and then call it preparation. You cannot keep collecting information when what you need is transformation in the way you approach the exam. Because the extra season spent in the confusion costs. It costs you something. It's costing your confidence, your momentum, your emotional energy, your income. It's costing opportunities. For some of you, it's costing your joy. So yes, there is hope. But there's also needs to be honesty. Something has to change. And Doc, this is why. This is why I created the Naplex Study System Audit Quiz. Because before you buy another thing, before you create another schedule, before you decide you just need to work harder, you need to diagnose you need to really diagnose what's missing in your current approach, okay? That's what matters. Because not everyone has the same gap. For one person, the problem is execution. They do not have a realistic routine. For another person, the problem is retention. They are putting in effort, but it's not sticking. For another person, The problem is application. They can read it, but they struggle to use it. For another person, the problem is simply decision making. They don't know what to prioritize, what to stop spending so much time on. And for another person, the problem is mindset and inconsistency. They start off strong, then lose momentum and have trouble recovering. The point is, you need clarity. And that is what the audit is designed to give you. I want to create something that helps pharmacists stop guessing. Something that helps you look at your prep and say, this is why I feel stuck. Because once you know the missing piece, you can finally address the actual issue instead of blaming yourself for symptoms. That's powerful. That's freeing. That's strategic. And that's why I want every pharmacist who is serious about becoming licensed to take the free audit. It's free. Now, let me make this practical, okay? If you have been saying things like, I study, but I don't feel like anything is sticking. I don't know where to start when I sit down. I keep making schedules I cannot maintain. I feel overwhelmed, but how much there is to know. I go blank when I answer questions. I know this content can seem to apply in the way the exam wants, but I just can't do it. I start strong and I just lose momentum. I fall off. This is exactly why you need to take the audit, because it's not random. This is a pattern, and there's a pattern there, and patterns can be solved. And now I have worked with pharmacists who came carrying so much shame. They thought the issue was that they were trying hard enough. Well, they were not trying hard enough. They thought when they looked closely, it's like, I didn't realize it was me. It wasn't me. Because they had effort. They had desire. They had intelligence. What they lacked was a system. They were touching too many things. Too many prep books. They got everybody prep book under the sun. They were not measuring what was not working. It wasn't measuring what was working. They were spending so much time doing passive reviewing, being overwhelmed with weak areas, just trying to motivate themselves with pressure instead of leading themselves with structure. But once a better system came, it changed. Take this from me. Clarity creates confidence. And confidence grows when your process starts to make sense. That's important. Because many times people think they need to feel confident first. Sometimes confidence comes after the process becomes trustworthy. Sometimes confidence built because your system is finally giving you the evidence that you are moving in the right direction. And I want to be transparent here. This matters to me because I care deeply about pharmacists who are carrying this silent disappointment. You know, you look okay on the outside, but internally, you feel the weight of delay. You know, you introduce yourself again, but you gotta have an explanation every time you say something about your exam, your process. When you're tired of living between the gap of what you earn and what you've been able to have access to. I never want you to think I'm speaking at you from a distance. I'm speaking to the part of you that knows that you are more, you are meant for more, and know that this journey has been heavy. I want you to know that the answer is not to shame yourself into success. The answer is to simply build a better system. And here's what I want you to do next. I want you to take the free Naplex Study System Audit. Go to LaQuitaJohnson.com/study audit and take the quiz. Find out what's missing in your current approach. Find out why studying harder has not been translated into results. Find out where your real gap is. And once you do that, you will be in a much stronger position to move forward with clarity instead of confusion. And if after you learn about how I can support you, how I serve pharmacists, and how the Think Like a Pharmacist system is infused into the Naplex Play program, then go to LaQuitaJohnson.com/Naplex. Because yes, you earned a degree. Now let's build a system that gets you licensed. It's time. Let me leave you with this. You do not need to prove that you can suffer longer. You do not need to prove that you can collect more resources. You do not need another season of studying without strategy. We don't need another month, 2, 3 months of delay. You need a study system. A system that aligns with your learning style, that rebuilds the right habits, that improves your retention, that helps you think and apply under pressure. A system that supports your mindset so anxiety does not steal your momentum, so that anxiety does not steal your joy. I want this for you. And this is why I made the audit. So don't wait. Take the free Naplex Study System Audit quiz right now. The link is below. Go to LaQuitaJohnson.com/study audit. Go. Take it. It's free. What's the worst it could cost you? Is free. You already work for the degree. Now let's build a system that actually helps you walk into the title, the license, the confidence, and the career that you desire. I am rooting for you, and I will see you in the next video. So until next time, I want you to remember that pharmacy is only if you are. Now go be great, and I will talk to you guys later.